The president doesn't want us to be politically correct, right? So let's not be PC about this. Is the president trying to provoke a domestic terrorist attack? It seems like the president's trying to provoke something that he can politicize more for his own gain in America. Do you feel that way?
Yes, that happened. MSNBC anchor daring to ask if President Trump is, quote, trying to provoke a terrorist attack to prove himself right, and that, well, that wasn't the only mainstream media meltdown over the weekend. Over at CNN, one host tweeted, quote, "This blank is not just an embarrassment to America and a stain on the presidency. He's an embarrassment to humankind." Although Reza Aslan hosts this series, CNN says he is technically not a network employee, and plus they say he apologized. Joining me now, Adam Goodman and Gina Loudon. Adam, you're a communications guy. I mean, this is, to me, just outright, it was craziness over the weekend.
Think about what the charge was from this news anchor, that the President of the United States is inciting domestic terror. Just think about that. I mean, if anything, just asking the question in and of itself makes that anchor guilty of the very thing he's accusing the president of. And it's an example, Charles, of what's happening more and more, especially in liberal media, where they're not content only with reporting the news, they want to make the news. As you know, in this particular situation, that anchor tried to go to other guests to try to buy into that point of view, and they didn't go there, and thank God for that.
You know, Gina, last week I saw this over and over again where guests were attempting to goad them, whether it was a Kevin Hart on something like The View or whether it was this. But when you start to Adam's point, when you start insinuating that the president wants to see terrorism or violence in his country, you certainly cross the line.
You certainly crossed the line. This is off the rails. This is despicable, Charles. Just the very idea that someone would insinuate, this president participating in an inside terror plot it tells me that they just have lost all touch with reality, Charles. And I don't know if they're coming back. I understand that many of these outlets are failing. Their ratings are down. We've seen newspapers lay off entire staffs. I know that they're having a lot of ratings issues, but it's time that consumers of these same news programs call a stop to people who are that desperate to get ratings. It's not right.
Guys, today there was a Breitbart writer, Katie McHugh, who was fired. She tweeted some anti-Muslim remarks. At least that was the interpretation by many following that London terror attack. And, the bottom line is Breitbart said, no, they drew a line. How come you have Adam, a site on the right, if you will, that says, okay, we do have lines, we do have boundaries, and yet you have CNN, which took a day or so to decide on Kathy Griffin, even with the decapitated head of the president. Why is it so tough for them, so difficult for them to at least say, hey, guys, you've gone too far? Doesn't that actually encourage them to do these things?
As a communications professional in campaigns, one thing we work on a lot, Charles, is creating what we call the narrative. What is the narrative of the campaign, the central messages and the storylines that bring you there? More and more we're seeing in the examples you just cited, especially with CNN, that it doesn't fit, certain things don't fit their narrative. That story you just noted did not fit the narrative, that we have a president that they want to report as being in some degree of free fall and the country in some degree of peril. And you talk about lines, if I may. Not so long ago, we had a president who said, I'm going to draw the line in the sand when we had terrorism facing us eye to eye in Syria. Well, that line didn't mean much. We now have a president who's not fomenting revolution, he's fomenting frankness and trying to say to all of us that we don't want to have happen on this side of the pond what happened on the other side of the pond, and let's take our heads out of the sand.
I get all that. What I don't get, though, is just that the left has gone completely bonkers, and the notion of journalism and news is gone. I just think it's completely gone. Guys, thank you both very much.